Hi everyone, welcome back to the Babylon 9. So it's another week, another manager has been linked. This time it's a familiar name. We have recently been linked with Paulo Fonseca, currently the manager of fifth place Lille. All the way back in 2018, Paulo Fonseca was one of the managers being earmarked as a potential replacement for David Moyes. He didn't obviously sign for us, and his career has seen him move on twice in that period, first to Roma and then on to Lille, where he is now. So the question is, who is Paulo Fonseca? Why are West Ham look at him? What can he bring and what can he do for West Ham? Now, in his own words, my coaching philosophy, well, I have very clear ideas that I think you can see in my teams. That involves having the ball, taking the initiative, and being an offensive team. These are the aspects that define my team and my aim in matches. I don't like to just win. I like to win playing well, dominating games. Within that, just that very first piece, that is the absolute antithesis of David Moyes. David Moyes is very pragmatic. He does obviously aim to win games, but he doesn't care about being offensive or defensive. The ends justify the means. Words even for that echo what, say, Sufal did, where he said he's the ultimate pragmatist, and ultimately sometimes at the detriment of the game. Fonseca is the complete opposite of that. He doesn't just want to win games, whilst he obviously likes to do that. He doesn't like winning if we're not playing well and if we're not dominating. He likes to see his team play on the front foot. And this also is the same when they're playing against big teams. He doesn't like to sit back. He will go maybe into a mid-block and not press as high, but he still wants to be very good in possession, to be attacking and to be aggressive. So to carry on what he says, the basic philosophy is to keep our team high up the pitch, but also very compact. I want the distance from my last defender to my furthest forward attacker to be short, and also the distance from one wing to the other. The idea is to be high and narrow, therefore compact with a lot of density. This makes it more difficult for them to pass through us. And that last piece is in relation to when he was at Shakhtar Donetsk playing against Man City, who they happened to knock out of the Champions League that season. As you can see, it's not a manager who shies away from big teams. He's not going to kind of sit back and state that just we're going to hunker in and try and get on the counter-attack. He's going to look to find solutions in which to limit their potential and look to limit how they can potentially influence the game and to obviously pressure the team. At the age of 50, Fonseca obviously does bring a good wealth of knowledge, good wealth of experience, and he's also very much in that modern ilk of football managers. Now, prior to moving to Lille, obviously he has been around a few clubs. So in Portugal, he managed at Porto. Either side of that, he was at Paços Ferreira. He also then went on to Braga after Paços Ferreira as well. At Porto, he only finished third in the league, but he did win essentially the equivalent of, say, the Charity Shield in the UK. At Braga, he also won the Portuguese Cup. So he had relative success at those clubs, maybe not to the level that those clubs wanted. But then he went into onto Shakhtar Donetsk, and he was there from 2016 to 2019. Obviously, we were interested in him during the 2018 season, but obviously stayed there one more year. In his time in Shakhtar, he won everything he could win for Shakhtar in domestically. So he won their domestic cup 3 times. He won the domestic league 3 times as well, so each season. And then he also won the Super Cup as well. So he had a really good and successful period with Shakhtar. Obviously, in the Champions League, they were a good team as well, benefiting from his style of play and the way he likes to utilise his players. And as we say, also knocking out Manchester City in the Champions League as well. He then also moved on to Roma in 2019 to 2021. It was a bit of a checkered time for him there. It didn't probably go as well as people had hoped, but it probably wasn't as much as a failure as maybe some would have made out. First season, he did come 5th for Roma, and then in the second season, he became 7th, which obviously got them a place for Europa Conference League, which obviously they went on then to win under Jose Mourinho. During that time, obviously, he showed his flexibility in terms of how they play. So he started off with the principles and philosophies that he had at Shakhtar in playing a 4-2-3-1 formation. But obviously, in that time at Roma, they were struggling with how the Italian league, with the number of players that are pushed forward in that formation. So he adapted to a 3-4-3. So principally in the attack, his attack principles never changed, but defensively he had to change things to counteract the strength of the league and also the failings, shall we say, or the limitations of some of his players that he currently had at that time in Roma. Obviously, off the back of that, he was obviously relieved of his duties at the end of the 2021 season, and then Lille came calling. And he's been there for the past season. This year, he's done incredibly well, currently 5th in the league with 55 points. They currently have the 4th best attack in the league and the 7th best defence, which is obviously why they're where they are, with a points average of 1.77 points per match. Now, if we translate that over to what that would mean in the Premier League, if he had the same or was able to replicate that same kind of level of form this season, say with West Ham, we would currently be sitting in 5th because obviously with his points of 1.77 puts him 5th. That would put us just above Tottenham, who are 1.71 points per match. So if he's able to translate that form and bring that into the Premier League and bring it into West Ham, then we would be far beyond where we are currently in the league. So what would be interesting is the style of football that he plays. As I say, he is the antithesis of Moyes. He likes to have a high press within this 4-2-3-1 formation. He looks to counter press as well, so he's less likely to have his players just get behind the ball and hold a compact shape. Whilst he wants his team to be compact and organised, he's not interested in just getting men behind the ball. He wants to essentially force the opposition to play laterally, so he can then kind of pin them in corners or pin them against the flanks to then obviously cause turnovers. Or ultimately, because he pushes so many players high, that they can win the ball and be in an advantageous position to then attack the goal as well. A number of goals, if you've watched Lille this season, will be seen from them winning the ball high up in the opposition third. And a player that's really flourished has been Jonathan David, who is currently drawn with Mbappe on goals scored in Ligue 1 with 20 goals. I believe he also has 6 assists as well. So he's incredible. He's really flourished as well. He's also taken a player like Timothy Weah, who has often been a player that's played on the wing, maybe played up front, but it's never really been a player that many would hope in that role. Obviously, if you recognise the name Weah, he is the son of George Weah, the legendary AC Milan centre forward, and essentially he's rejuvenated his career by playing him in a fullback position, whether that be left back or right back, and it's seen him absolutely flourish because he works tirelessly defending, but also from an attacking point of view, he has a really good attacking wherewithal and understanding. So in the way that he likes to use his fullbacks, Timothy Weah is a very good example of what you can do with a player that is willing to adapt and also someone who is very much has very good adaptability within their general play. Again, similar to how we operate, he likes to have 2 kind of mobile number 8s in there. And one of the things that we are lacking really is a number 10 who can play those side roll passes, who can come deep and collect the ball. Obviously, we was hoping that would be Paqueta, but that's not really what Paqueta actually is. He is more of that 8 and someone that would kind of suit someone like a Fonseca. Now, obviously, with Declan Rice going, it's been important that we find a new 8 who can do that. But it'll be really interesting to see what he can do with an actual player such as Declan Rice and with the team that we currently have. Now, tactically, what is interesting, obviously, as we say, he plays that 4-2-3-1 formation. What Fonseca looks to actually do is that he really looks to invert his wingers. So he likes them to play very compact and to be very tight within this area. What this essentially allows him to do then is to move his team like so. So they can essentially have them pressing against the attack here. He can also move his fullbacks up very high. if needs be, because he likes to have superiority in defence. When we're talking from a build-up perspective, he can then move back into a back three with one of the eights dropping into the back four, and then having a free role centre midfielder who's looking to find the pass. Again, the central attacking midfielder can also drop into his position, so it becomes essentially as a free on the centre backs with two, then looking to manage and roam in the wings. And then we'll see with these players looking to either add kind of spread again to control possession, because ultimately, often you will see the opposition defending with two players. So we'll take these two here. Essentially, they will be looking to press the ball carrier and maybe one of the options, which obviously means they have an outball to the goalkeeper and then to the centre back. And obviously, then they have a midfielder who can potentially be free, and obviously some midfielder. Essentially, the whole operation is to draw the opposition midfield onto the defence and then to play through, where they then have their fullbacks pressed very high, both wingers inverted, and their centre forward ready to attack. So it's a very high risk, high reward tactic, but one that could be incredibly interesting to see at West Ham and within the Premier League. So going into this, do we actually think this is maybe something that will come to fruition? I'm not too sure. I think with the way Lille are playing, they are obviously at the moment in fifth. They're not far off the league leaders. So there is every chance that next season they could be pushing for, say, Champions League places, or even looking to push forward for a position in Europe as well. So much will rely on West Ham really qualifying. Obviously, they do have a bit of way to go. They are currently 6 points behind Monaco, who are in fourth, but they are still in a position for European competition. Obviously, West Ham really do need to win not only the game against Ghent, but also to win the tournament to then obviously improve their chances when it comes to recruitment, whether that be against the whether that be for just signing players, whether that be for obviously bringing in managers of higher quality. The potential, the ability to be in Europa League is definitely going to have a huge impact on us in the summer. Now, I know some people won't agree with moving on from Moyes if he was to win us the Europa Conference, but with what potentially could happen in the summer, there's probably going to be a completely new mindset within West Ham as to how they want to move forward, how they want to be managed, how they want to progress as a club and as a team. And David Moyes has done very well in setting down a foundation and moving us up to a good level compared to where we were. It's potentially now the right time to now say we need a new manager to come in and take us on. Now, Fonseca is a very interesting solution. Again, it's someone that we've looked at in the past, so it does at least show some continuity. It could also just be a rehashing of a previous story, but it could also, as I say, be there is a level of continuity as to this was always a type of manager that they wanted. And maybe when they went for Pellegrini, it was maybe someone a bit further in terms of their will to attack as opposed to their defensive acumen, as opposed to, say, Fonseca, who was a good blend of both. And obviously they've gone the route of Moyes, who has steadied the ship and taken the club on to a different level to where we have been in previous years. We have to say he has done that because the European competitions. And now maybe is the time to find a manager who is going to look to develop players, and be very much with them from a coach perspective, as well as one that's going to look to manage them and take them forward. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the summer. I do think that this is one of the ones that relies heavily on us qualifying for Europe. Whether he would be interested to leave Lille after his season is another question, but he does only tend to be at clubs for 2 to 3 seasons typically. So there is no reason to believe that this wouldn't be a deal that can't be done. Let's see how this one develops. It's an interesting one. And I think the football would be something that as a fan base, we would really love to see. It's something we've been asked to see. And essentially that performance we saw against Arsenal is more akin to what we would see with Fonseca, or what he would demand from the team consistently and constantly, rather than sitting back. He would look to attack teams regardless of stature, regardless of size. And that in itself would be something very thrilling to watch as a fan, and something exciting to see West Ham being proactive and positive against every team that they play against, and looking to win regardless of who we are up against. But yeah, let's hope we win the game tonight against Ghent. We progress on to the next round and put ourselves in the best possible place in which to attract managers of the kind of ilk of Fonseca, should we look to move on from David Moyes. But until then, everyone, thanks for watching. Please do like this video. If you do like it, please do like, please do subscribe. Obviously, we do have our Twitter as well. Please do follow us on Twitter. Very much appreciated. And as I say, please do subscribe. It does help us as well, getting our stuff out there. And yeah, it's great when people follow us and obviously interact as well. So as ever, one last thing to say, and that is, come on, you Irons.